You ever feel like you need a secret decoder ring just to go shopping? You know, from the grocery store to the phone store, you're just hit with all this jargon that can be, well, really confusing. So today, we are going to crack that code. We're going to demystify all that everyday consumer language you run into.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to start where we all go, the supermarket checkout. Then we'll dive into those super tricky phone plan contracts. After that, it's off to the electronics store to figure out what all those computer specs actually mean. And to wrap it all up, we'll talk about how knowing all this stuff really puts you in the driver's seat. All right, first stop, the grocery store. It's familiar territory, right? But even here, that last step, just paying for your stuff, can have its own little language that can totally trip you up if you're not ready for it. Oh yeah, we've all been there. You're in line, you hear something like this, and you just kind of freeze for a second. It's such a common moment. So let's break down what these key checkout terms are all about.
So the express lane is really just about one thing: speed. It's designed so the person buying, a gallon of milk and a loaf of bread doesn't get stuck behind someone with 2 carts full for a weekly shop. It's a tiny rule, but it helps keep all the lines moving a little faster.
And then you get hit with that classic question: paper or plastic? It sounds so simple, but what you pick actually has some real trade-offs. Paper bags, they're strong, sure, but they can rip. Plastic bags are waterproof, which is great, but they're also a huge environmental headache.
Coupons. Who doesn't love them? They're basically like getting free money. But there's always a but, isn't there? You have to check 2 things. Is it for the exact product you're buying? And what's the expiration date? Because if you're a day late, it's not a coupon anymore. It's just a piece of paper.
Now here's a feature that can be a serious time saver: cashback. This little service lets you completely skip a trip to the ATM. You just tell the cashier, "Hey, can I get $40 cash back?" They add it to your total and hand you the cash. It's like a mini bank right there at the checkout, and a fantastic way to dodge those ATM fees. All right, let's level up the difficulty a little. We're moving on to decoding mobile phone plans, and this is where the language starts to get really tricky, with all these deals and contracts that are designed to sound absolutely amazing, but you've really got to learn to read between the lines. So the first big decision you usually have to make is between a prepaid and a monthly plan. Prepaid is really straightforward. You pay for what you're going to use ahead of time. No surprise bills. A monthly plan, on the other hand, you pay at the end of the month, but it almost always locks you into a contract.
You see a deal for a free phone or an unbelievable monthly rate. Whenever something sounds way too good to be true, it probably is. This right here is the single most important question you can ask, because the real cost, it's always hiding somewhere in the details.
So, the catch, that's the thing they don't put in the giant headline. It's that hidden condition or that extra fee that suddenly makes a fantastic deal feel, well, just okay. It could be a super long contract, crazy fees for extra data, all sorts of things. Finding the catch is absolutely essential before you sign on the dotted line. And speaking of the catch, this is usually what it looks like. That super attractive $40 a month plan can suddenly balloon when you add on activation fees, service fees, and especially charges if you go over your minutes or data. You have to ask for the total, final, all-in monthly cost. Now on the flip side, here's a feature you definitely want to look for: a rollover option. This is great. It just means that any data or minutes you didn't use this month aren't just gone forever. They get carried over and added to next month's bucket. It's a simple way to make sure you're actually getting everything you paid for.
Okay, for our final deep dive, we're wading into the world of computer jargon. Now, this is where the language can feel the most intimidating, for sure. But trust me, once you crack just a few key terms, the whole thing starts to make a lot more sense.
So, if a salesperson tells you your current laptop is obsolete, don't panic. In the tech world, that just means it's out of date. It happens fast. A computer that was the best of the best a few years ago might struggle with today's software, and that's just the nature of the beast. It's totally normal.
Now let's talk storage space. It's actually pretty simple. Think of a megabyte as a small thing. A gigabyte, that's about 1,000 of those. And a terabyte, that's about 1,000 gigabytes. So the more gigabytes or terabytes you have, the more photos, files, and programs you can cram onto your computer.
This is the best way to think about it. The processor is literally the computer's brain, and its speed is measured in gigahertz, or GHz. The higher that GHz number, the faster your computer can think and multitask. A faster processor just means everything feels snappier. Apps open instantly, stuff just happens without you having to wait.
You're going to hear phrases like top of the line,
That's just salesperson speak for the best, and usually most expensive model they have. It's their way of promising you the best quality, and sometimes they'll throw in these huge guarantees like, I promise, this thing will never freeze on you.
And a freeze or a crash, that's exactly what that good processor and all that memory is supposed to prevent. You know the feeling. It's that incredibly frustrating moment when your screen just locks up solid and nothing you click does anything. It's one of the most common computer problems out there.
So, we've navigated the supermarket, we've decoded the phone store, and we've survived the electronics aisle. So what's the big takeaway here? What does this all mean for you? It means that by simply understanding the language, you gain a ton of power as a consumer.
So here is how you take control. First, never, ever be afraid to ask, sorry, what does that mean? Second, always ask about all the fees, not just the price on the sticker. And finally, just accept that today's top-of-the-line gadget is tomorrow's obsolete model. And that's okay. Knowing that is the secret to making smarter choices.
See, by asking questions and just knowing the terms, you're not a passive customer anymore. You become an active part of the conversation. You can cut right through the sales pitch and make a decision that's actually right for you. So the only question left is, what's the first thing you're going to ask?